With the,
you want to add that?
make an amendment to the agenda, removing item 8
8 from the
Oh, yeah.
consent agenda.
to put that into the ordinance.
I'll just entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as amended. Because we already talked about that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have some presentations tonight. First, we have some proclamations before our presentation. And I have 3 of those. The first is a proclamation for Building Safety Month, and I think Anna Kangas and Brian Schaefer are going to come up. You also got to hold this far out. That's your age. Whereas Cape Girardeau is committed to recognizing our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure serving our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster. And whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings making up our community is achieved through the devotion of diligent guardians, building safety and fire protection officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a U.S.-based organization, bringing together local, state, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes, protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, and play. And whereas our nation benefits economically and technologically from using the international codes developed by a national voluntary consensus code standards developing organization, our government is able to avoid the high cost and complexity of developing and maintaining these codes, which are the most widely adopted building and safety fire prevention codes in the nation. These modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters, such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas building codes save lives, the theme for Building Safety Month 2018 encourages all Americans to raise the awareness of the importance of building safe, construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, and new technologies in the construction industry. Building Safety Month 2018 encourages appropriate steps everyone can take to ensure that the places where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe, and recognizes countless lives have been saved due to the implementation of the safety codes by local and state agencies. And whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety and economic investment in the home, the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Bob Fox, Mayor of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2018 as Building Safety Month, and I encourage our citizens to join with their communities in participation of Building Safety Month activities. Thereof, signed Bob Fox. Here you go. We also have a proclamation tonight for Bike Month. Christine Jagers, Julia Jones. There's your biker.
Go that way.
dude.
He looks familiar.
Hey, Mom.
You're gonna take a picture. How's that?
He's used to it.
Yeah.
Whereas more than 16 miles of dedicated lanes and trails have facilitated greater ease in cycling in Cape Girardeau due to the Missouri Foundation for Health grant promoting healthy and active lifestyle. And whereas today, millions of Americans engage in bicycling because it's a viable and environmentally sound form of transportation, an excellent form of fitness, provides quality family recreation. Whereas bicycling, or creating bicycle-friendly communities, has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion. Whereas the education of cyclists and motorists as to the proper and safe operation of bicycles is important to ensure the safety and comfort of all users. And whereas May has been declared National Bike Month for the last 62 years, and it is so again in 2018. And whereas local and state independent cyclists, the Missouri Bicycle and Pedestrian Federation, the League of American Bicyclists, American Automobile Association, and the City of Cape Girardeau are promoting greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety education in an effort to reduce accidents and injuries for all. Now therefore be resolved that I, Bob Fox, Mayor of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, do hereby proclaim May 2018 as Bike Month and encourage our citizens to ride the city by bicycling. We recognize the importance of bicycle safety and be more aware of cyclists on our streets and highways. In witness thereof, I am here to set my hand and fix the seal. The City of Cape Girardeau, this 7th day of May, approximately.
Not so bad.
Look at me, dude.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Christy just had a great voice.
Yep, and I just want to again thank you guys for allowing May Free Bike Month. We will be doing a fun celebration at the Osage Center coming up. There will be May 18th. It's a Friday morning. We'll be kicking off with some breakfast, fun treats. The biking companies will join us for some fun to check out your bike. Make sure you're ready to go. Have a good kickoff to remind you why it is important to bike, why it's important just to be active, get out and enjoy our amazing trails.
We already gave away 2.
And we did give away 2 bikes from the 2 biking companies, Cycleworks and Cape Bike and Fitness. Helped us donate 2 bikes to 2 children in a community that did not have bikes already. So they helped us out. We've got 2 bikes out there, and we do have another 100 gift card we'll be giving away. So
Great.
thank you guys.
Last but not least, National Historic Preservation Month. Whereas historic preservation endeavors to protect, conserve, and preserve buildings, places, and other artifacts of historical significance for the benefit of present and future generations. And whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for maintaining growth and sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. Whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has helped shape us as a people. Whereas 2018 marks the 52nd anniversary of National Historic Preservation Act, which established a legal framework and incentive for documentation and preservation of historic buildings, places, and other artifacts. Whereas Cape Girardeau is hosting the Historic Preservation Commission Annual Preservation Month celebration on Friday, May 11, 2018, in honor of National Historic Preservation Month at Ivor Square. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Bob Fox, Mayor of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2018 as National Historic Preservation Month. Call upon the citizens of Cape Girardeau to join communities across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. A witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand to the seal, signed by the vice mayor. Want to say anything?
Actually breathe for the
I
Conservation
would like
Commission.
to invite you guys to a couple events. So the first is a presentation this Thursday, May 10th at 6:30 at the Marquette Lobby. This place matters, staying in the H&H building. So there's going to be a reception and a presentation and some early tours of the Marquette Lobby, and of the H&H Lobby, I'm sorry. You can see some of the completed rooms following the presentation. And second is this Friday, May 11th at 5:30. The HPC will be hosting their historic preservation walk around Ivor Square. We'll be talking about the Carnegie Library, the memorials on the grounds, and their revitalization efforts. So if you could all join us, that would be great.
I think now we have an emergency solutions grant presentation by Mr. Steve Williams.
Good afternoon. I am Stephen S. Williams, Housing Assistance Coordinator for the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. One of the programs that we administer for the city and also the county, we have partnered with the county for over 20-some years, is the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. The program is a HUD program that comes to the state of Missouri Social Services and is administered by the Missouri Housing Development Commission. Every year, this year in October the 20th, 2017, we had to submit an application. This is your application that goes into MHDC. The application is written by each one of your sub-grantees. They present the application to me, we coordinate it, and we send it in to the state as one complete application. We have successfully operated this program for approximately 22, 23 years. The success of our program is due to the fine sub-grantees that we have doing our program. Without them, our program would not be successful. For the last number of years, the City of Cape Girardeau has received the largest funding approval of any city in the state of Missouri. That includes Kansas City and also St. Louis. Last year, we received $139,122.38. The requirement for this program is that each sub-grantee, including the city, has to match that amount. So in the county of Cape Girardeau last year, we did a total of $278,244.76. This year, our new year, which is the 18-17-14E, we have received $139,074.41. The grant is broken down as follows. We have 4 sub-grantees. The sub-grantees are the Salvation Army. They do the street outreach. They receive $7,000 for their portion of it. The emergency shelter is done by the Safe House for Women. Their application was $35,474.41. The rapid rehousing is done by the Catholic Charities of Southern Missouri. They received $46,400. And the homeless prevention is the Catholic Charities. Rapid rehousing is done by the Community Caring Council. They received $46,400. And we have administration fee of $3,800. The administration fee is divided in half. The city pays $1,900, the county pays $1,900. We're before you tonight to let you see the individuals that make your program a success. They are the ones, they are the professionals that are doing the work for you. They're the ones that are making this program a success. We're gonna give each one an opportunity to present to you what they have done and what they will do. I mainly want you to meet them because once we have this presentation now, we blend into the background because everything else that we do is confidentiality, and you'll see the work, but you might not see the people that do it. So we're going to start off with the Salvation Army. We'll let all four of them make their presentation. When they get done, we will gladly answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Jenny with the Salvation Army.
And I'm Elizabeth Sarah, case manager for Salvation Army.
We helped a total of around 35 people last year with street outreach. We received $7,000, as Steve said. The majority of that last year went towards transportation and getting these people connected with stable housing. Going forward in the 2018 funding year, we plan to look more at case management and getting to the bottom of what these people really need besides just housing, getting them connected with the resources available.
Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Colin Carter, and I am the housing coordinator of the Community Care Council. First, thank you all for giving me the opportunity to let you all know a little bit about what each of us does. Like I said, we work very closely together to administer this grant, and my portion of that is the rapid housing. Our agency has successfully received $46,400 of that grant. And from April of last year to March 30th of this year, we were able to successfully keep house 23 households with that. As a part of our program particularly, we're able to not only assist with rental assistance, but we're also able to assist with utility assistance as well. And my experience working with individuals that have come into, that presented themselves at our agency, quite often they come with back bills, those kinds of things. And what we attempt to do is to give each of those individuals an opportunity to start a clean slate. Every client that comes in is an individual case in itself. Some people with the grant, MHDC has given us direction as far as to administer this grant. We do not put time restraints on it. As I said, each case that presents before us is each individually screened and assessed. Some people sometimes need just the initial deposit in the first month's rent. But as a requirement of our grant, these individuals do have to be presented as and do have to, we have to document that they were prior literally homeless. Now, with that being literally homeless, those definitions can vary, but we are strongly guided in the direction of what that means in order to administer this grant. And for that, it means that person is either literally homeless, which means that they are limited in place not meant for human habitation. They can be sometimes coming right out of incarceration, depending on what has happened prior to that, but usually they have to have been homeless prior to that. They can also be in rehabilitation centers and that. So, as I said, each case that presents themselves to our agency is completely presented and accepted totally different. Our job is not only to house them, because we do have a housing first approach. That means that we look at housing first, and then we start to deal with some of that baggage that comes along with it. But initially, in order for keep a person housed and to keep them sustainable, to sustain that housing, we have to first get them into the house, and then we start to deal with some of those issues like that. As we very well know, there's no success rate if we try to paint this little shiny ball in front of them and make them successful in their own. So as I said, we've had the pleasure of doing this now before. This is my third year of administering this grant, and it's been nothing except an eye-opener for me and a very successful grant. Questions?
Thank you, Calvin.
Great. Thanks, Calvin.
Hi, I'm Brenda Miller with Catholic Charity. I'm the housing coordinator there. And the component of the ESP grant that I administer is the homeless prevention. And that is for renters that are at risk of eviction. There is an income eligibility requirement to be eligible for the program, and they also have to meet rent reasonableness, and that's all based on HUD guidelines. This is will be the 5th year that I've been working for Catholic Charities administering this program, this grant. The renters, like I said, they have to meet income eligibility guidelines and have to be at risk. We also have to inspect the home to make sure it meets habitability guidelines. They're safe and they're habitable. In 2017, we were able to keep 9 households in their current rental. That means they didn't have to leave. That's 10 adults and there's 13 children. What we can do with that, you can pay up to 6 months of rental arrears, of past due rent, and then go forward, the current month and then forward. They can receive 24 months in a 3-year period. We try not to keep folks on that long. We want to use short term so we can help more folks. But once someone's in the program, if they're past due on their utilities, need some help with that, more often than not, they are, because something's happened, they've had an illness or, some kind of catastrophe that caused them to get behind on their rent utilities. So it wouldn't do much good to pay their rent and then their utilities get shut off and then they get in. So do that. We do have a case management component to that, so they were required to meet with me at least once a month. We develop a housing stabilization plan with them initially. That's to determine their strengths and their housing barriers, and we try to use their strengths and try to remove some of those housing barriers in order to get them to be sustainable in their own rental unit. So this is a great program. It's helped a lot of tenants here in Cape Girardeau County, and we appreciate the opportunity to do that. We also have to do, we also work closely with the landlords, obviously. We do try to get the people that are enrolled in our programs connected to other community resources that are available.
All right, thank you.
Hello, I'm Jessica Hill. I'm the Executive Director of the Safe House for Women. And last year in 2017, we received $35,522.38 from the Emergency Solutions Grant. And that falls into 2 categories for us. And those are essential services, which is transportation, primarily bus passes and cab fares. For our clients, most of our clients do not have their own transportation. And this is our primary source of assistance for that. And also phone interpretation services, particularly with our hotline for individuals who speak Spanish or another language. And then we also have operations that are provided for through this grant. That includes things like groceries, maintenance, pest control, repairs, utilities such as electricity, water, internet, phone, and our hotline. Security monitoring, and last year we were able to add 4 additional security cameras at our shelter with this funding. It also helps with our insurance, equipment, supplies, furnishings. We were able to purchase a new refrigerator for our shelter last year. And it also helps us with hotel and motel placements when our shelter is full. This coming year in 2018, we will be receiving $35,474.41, and we promise to spend it down to the penny. We are just slightly lower than last year, just under $50 lower than last year for our grant. I wanted to mention that while this grant supports the operations of our current shelter, it will go with us to our new shelter. So we are underway with our shelter project. It is a $2,054,000 project that's being built right here in Cape Girardeau. We are going to expand from 17 beds to 40, and our timeline for completion is spring of 2019. Last year, in 2017, we served 96 adults and 39 children with shelter, 135 individuals, and we were unable to shelter 181 due to either our shelter being at capacity, having a male over the age of 13, a male son over the age of 13, or disability. And we're removing all of those barriers with our new shelter, and so we're very excited about the opportunity that we have to move into that new facility within the next year, and to continue to utilize the ESG program to support our operations there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessica.
One of the other things that I would like to mention, we have a few homeless that are out here moving around, and once the third Tuesday of every month, we all meet together and we discuss our clients. And some of the ones that I've asked them about, some of the ones that have been in our program, some of the others, we have made an attempt to get them into our program, but they have to accept what we have to offer. Myself, along with the caseworker from the Salvation Army, we went out ourselves to talk to one lady, and it was an experience for me. I'm a housing guy, social service is something new to me. And we talked to this lady, and we're going to keep working with her to see if we can't get something done for her. This is not an easy program that we do. We have a monitor that comes in 1 year. Denise Hall, she comes in, she spends 3 days with us. She goes over our books. She starts here with City Hall, going over our finances. Then she goes by and visits each one of the 4 sub-grantees, checking their files, checking their finances to make sure that everything is done and done properly. We're happy to say that we are in compliance and remain in compliance with our programs. We're glad to answer any question that you might have.
Anybody have any questions? Don't think so. Thank you for the invaluable service that you all are offering, not only families, but individuals in our community. And it's a great service. And I still find it hard to believe that our grant's more than what St. Louis and Kansas City is. That just shows you the commitment and of all the agencies that take part in it. So thank you.
Great collaboration.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much.
We're going to make the same presentation to the county Thursday.
All right. Thank you.
We're all partnering in this.
practiced.
Thank you very much. We'll now move into communication and reports.
Here, I'd like to point out that seniors and law enforcement together are having their annual law enforcement memorial meeting at Cape Bible Chapel on May 24th at 7 p.m. in the evening. It used to be done around noon, but this year it's at 7 to accommodate the larger crowds. And I've been told that there's going to be a number of law enforcement vehicles there representing the agencies of the 49 police officers who have died in the line of duty in Southeast Missouri over the period of time that we're covering. So I encourage you to go there. It's very inspirational and support your local law enforcement. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, I would like to say, on April 30th, we had a meeting with Denise Lincoln and Dr. Hoffman in regards to, James Ivers. And it was a good meeting. There was a lot of discussion. And we came out with the great idea that we really do want to see the statue put in the Ivers Park. It represents the Black history of Cape Girardeau. James Ivers was found by Denise Lincoln in the recordings in Washington, D.C., and she brought the information back. And we feel like it's a great honor for African Americans. And in the park that is named Ivers Park, you've never been there, go there because it represents many different cultures. It's very, very just different cultures out there, and you really do need to just come and look at it and see. But right now we're in the statue mode. And so you'll have to talk with Dr. Hoffman and Denise Lincoln, but we are trying to raise the money so that we can get the statue, okay? And so everybody that's listening, even on TV, contact Dr. Hoffman and Denise Lincoln to make sure that you can contribute, whether it's $5 or $10,000, okay?
There you go.
Good plug, Shelley.
Good plug, Shelley. Anybody else? Well, your mayor's been pretty busy since he's been elected these last 2 weeks. Harry told me about a lot of this stuff, but you just don't think about it until you begin getting calls for this and this and that. Since our last meeting, Scott and I attended the MML Southeast Regional Meeting in Farmington. We had Youth and Government Day, and that's a great program run by all the Optimist clubs here to expose high schoolers to city government, county government, and it's a great program. They spend the morning here for a little orientation, then they scatter out and go with all sorts of different staff people in the city and the county, and those on the council have a mock city council meeting, and whereby they talked about a lot of real problems that have faced us in the past and will face us in the future. And at first they were a little slow discussing things, but they got going and it ended up really well. And I really kind of surprised my student mayor, for I went to the Community Caring Council annual breakfast to present a proclamation to Mary Caston, who was the founder of the Community Caring Council. And having my student mayor with me, I put her to work, and she read the proclamation, and it just really kind of made her day. She did a great job. She was not nervous, did fantastic. So that's a neat program. I thought we had a great council retreat. We had some good discussion about our meetings, about the budget, about lots of the goals and so forth that the city has the next year. Went to a simple meeting, meant to meet Senator Blunt. First Friday coffee this last week. Leadership Cape had all these presentations from the different groups, and they were all really fantastic. And it was kind of ironic that one of the presentations, which was started long before the project in Town Plaza was even brought to public, their plan included exactly what's happening. And it was, it's just amazing sometimes how leaders can get together and think of projects that would benefit the community, and then lo and behold, it's being done. So there were great projects presented. Went to the Jackson Cape Relay Sunday morning. Mayor Haas and Jackson said, well, I'm going to send them off that morning, and why don't you come over to the Osage Center and meet us when we come to Cape? Well, he didn't tell me he was running in it. He challenged me to run next year, and I said, I don't think that's going to happen. But I'll be glad to go ride a golf cart along him while he runs, if I can find one. And this afternoon was the kickoff for the Show Me Games in Missouri, where they had a torch run from Arena Park to Capitol Hall Park. And I was there to welcome them. And it's a Show Me Games I don't know whether you all know this or not. The Show Me Games represent 42 sports. It's an Olympic tile competition that was started in 1985. And Missouri has the largest Show Me Games in the United States. So it's a really big deal. So I had a busy couple of weeks. We have no public hearings tonight. Wait a minute, staff's got something to report. You got something to say.
No, that's okay. I was just going to mention Deputy City Manager and myself went to our Missouri City Managers Association meeting this week. It's always good to go because you find out what other people are doing. And it's rewarding also to see what other cities are struggling with, or things that either we're not struggling with or we already have and move beyond. We certainly have things that are our challenges, and we get information from others on how they do that. But it was a good meeting, and good to find out that we're on the cutting edge of a lot of things, and we're and doing things that's worthy of us sharing. And then we also got things that we can share back with you. So
good.
Thanks for the opportunity to go.
Molly, you got anything to add?
Well, I would just echo Scott's sentiments about the conference. It's a great networking opportunity, and also provides us a lot of insights into what others around the state are doing. And something he did fail to mention, that he is actually serving on the board this year of MCMA. So that's an added bonus for us.
Nice. Congrats, Scott.
Okay, congrats. There are no public hearings tonight. Is there anybody here to appear before the council about an item that is on the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I apologize, this is totally off script and impromptu, but I couldn't let the opportunity pass. I think it was ironic tonight that Building Safety Month and Historic Preservation Month ended up being recognized in the same night, and it made my heart feel good to watch Dr. Hoffman nod and smile while you were reading the Building Safety Proclamation, and watch Brian and Anna react to you reading the Historic Preservation Proclamation. It wasn't that many years ago that historic preservation and building and fire code safety kind of were seen as.
So it's good to see you two.
With people like Alex and Ryan Strickland and Anna, Brian, and obviously Dr. Hoffman and Marlo Mills, we've made a lot of progress, and we recognize that building safety and historic preservation is a common concern for us. The downtown historic section of the city is very important to us. We want to preserve it from a safety standpoint. They want safe buildings. So I just couldn't let that moment go. I thought it was very good. Again, it was ironic and unplanned, but that those two things were recognized tonight.
Thank you for your comments.
And I would just echo that I had no idea that it was the same month. And I have the chief come to my preservation classes and talk to students, and we really are on the same page. And I think when you arrive, not so much. So it's something that work hard at, and I think that our community is better off for it. And it's just a great example of the kind of collaboration that we have. To be part of it.
That's great. Fantastic. Thank you all very much. Is there anybody to appear before the council to for any item that is on the agenda this evening? Don't everybody jump up at once. Okay, if that's the case, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I entertain a motion to approve the.
Let's read it first.
Oh, yeah, we do have to read it. Eric, except for number 8.
Number 18-53, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a special warranty deed to RFJ Real Estate Holdings LLC for property located at 453 Cooper Street in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a special warranty deed to RFJ Real Estate Holdings LLC for property located at 453 Cooper Street in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 18-58, an ordinance vacating the city's interest in unimproved Decatur Street right-of-way lying between Shawnee Parkway to the north, Willow Street to the south, South Middle Street to the west, and unimproved South Fountain Street right-of-way to the east in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. An ordinance vacating the city's interest in unimproved Decatur Street right-of-way lying between Shawnee Parkway to the north, Willow Street to the south, South Middle Street to the west, and unimproved South Fountain Street right-of-way to the east in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 18-54, an ordinance accepting a permanent sanitary sewer easement along South Sprague Street from Nip Kelly Equipment Company, Inc. in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. An ordinance accepting a permanent sanitary sewer easement along South Sprague Street from Nip Kelly Equipment Company, Inc. in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 18-57, an ordinance accepting a permanent utility and sewer easement for unimproved Decatur Street right-of-way in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. An ordinance accepting a permanent utility and sewer easement for unimproved Decatur Street right-of-way in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 18-64, an ordinance authorizing city manager to execute amendment number 2 to the state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for design and construction of the runway 1028 lighting rehabilitation project at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. An ordinance authorizing city manager to execute amendment number 2 to the state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for design and construction of the runway 1028 lighting rehabilitation project at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. Number 18-65, a resolution of the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri stating intent to seek funding through the Federal Home Loan Bank of Des Moines, Iowa for affordable housing program funds and authorizing city manager to pursue activities in an attempt to secure funding and to execute all necessary grant documents. Number 18-70, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute a release of lien for property located at 510 Johnson Street under the Neighborhood Stabilization Grant Program in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 18-71, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute a release of lien for property located at 815 Rodney Vista Boulevard under the Federal Home Loan Bank Grant Program in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Thank you, Eric. Now, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Guard, seconded by Stacy. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. New ordinances.
Do consent, have Eric read number 8.
Number 8 first. Okay.
Number 18-68, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute a contract for facility assessments with Giordini Architects for a space needs study and facilities analysis for City Hall in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
I'll entertain a motion. Do I hear a second? We're gonna, then we'll have discussion.
Okay.
Before we vote.
All right.
Got to pass it. You got it.
You got your second down there.
Okay. Stacy, second.
To bring it up for discussion? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to bring the motion up before you can discuss it.
Right, I'm, what,
Okay.
he's confusing me, I don't know.
I was just watching him, right?
Just watch me.
Now, Mayor, I wanted just to discuss this a little bit, just because, you know, we have just some questions. We've got new council. Wanted to kind of talk about how we got to this point. A couple of questions I might have were, and Scott answered them, cost, where are we getting the funds? Is that this year's budget, or is this going to be, I'm assuming that this is 17-18's budget, but just thought that we would kind of discuss that a little bit and answer some questions. So I guess I'd start with, you know, if you want to go through how we got to this point, how they got picked. Was it, I think I read in there that, not that they were the, what set them apart, I guess, was another question that I had. So if Anna or Molly.
Yeah, I'll let Molly go through the process and answer, kind of give you an overall view, and then if you have questions beyond that, we can discuss
Sure.
further.
So as you know, the City Hall has been a need that has been unaddressed for some time, but there's a lot of deficiencies with this building, including ADA accessibility. Our HVAC system is in dire need of repairs, and many other things, water leaks. So to start the process in February, we issued a request for qualifications and put that out there to firms interested in submitting proposals to us. And again, it's qualification based. So we had, I think, 5 firms that submitted proposals. Staff narrowed that down to 3 based on a scoring system. We brought those 3 teams in and interviewed them. And it really was qualification based. What is their experience with historic buildings? What is their experience with municipal facilities? And then based on all of those criteria, we narrowed it down to Chiodini as the most qualified to tackle this issue for us.
Yeah. What will we get as a result of this study?
So what we have asked them to do is assess, it's basically called a space needs assessment. So they will interview all of the staff that works in this building and identify what our needs are in terms of space and functionality and what department works with other departments. How do we work amongst each other? And they will come up with recommendations on the type of workspaces that we need, the amount of workspace that we need. And then based on that, they will do an assessment of this building, the Common Police Courthouse, the Annex, which is the old Carnegie Library building, those 3 existing buildings, to see if our needs would fit in any of these buildings. And if so, what would we need to do to these buildings to make that work? And then we've also asked them to look at some potential new sites for a new building. If they'll do a cost benefit analysis to determine whether or not it's even cost effective to make the repairs to these older buildings, and then make a recommendation based on that as well.
Where is this? How are we funding this, Scott?
I believe we're taking, this is going to be part of the fund balance.
Excess fund balance from 17-18?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess I wanted to personally, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, understanding a little bit more, and especially with the cost being $150,000, and to the tough times that we are with the city budget, I wanted to make sure that we discussed it and got everybody on the same page. And then also with that, I know that with Common Pleas coming up in 2020, that it's going to be vacated, and what we need to do with that, and what we need to do with this building. So I'm glad we had answered some of those questions. So I got
and 150 is the budget for it. We're going to task this out. This is a task order, so we will start out with the first task and then go as far as we need. So that would cover everything that they envision that we might need to do. So it may be less than that, maybe necessary to use all of it. Just as a scope, if you remember when we studied just the police station, it was a less than, I think, 100,000. It was one building that we looked at. So it's an important step to really make good decisions as far as going forward. That laid the groundwork then for where we got to. So first step on along it, and we'll be bringing everything back to you as we move forward.
Having a game plan for City Hall and Common Pleas sooner than later is very important to us.
And they're hard decisions. These are hard. There's not a slam dunk on this. This is something that we really do need to study in depth to figure out what the best expenditure when you make a major expenditure, you want to make the best expenditure of taxpayer money in doing so. And this will put us in a position to do that.
I'll also say one other reason that we went with the Chiodini team is that their experience with budgeting and cost projections is superior and really set them above the other teams that had submitted proposals. We feel that that's incredibly important to this project moving forward, is having a very good handle on what this is going to cost us. If we stay here, what's it going to cost to repair the HVAC, put elevators and things like that. Same with the Common Pleas, and that's such a critical component. Their cost projections and that experience really set them apart.
Have we worked with them before?
They were the architect on the new police station.
Okay.
Scott, can you say again where the money's coming from?
I believe John has left. If I recall right, it was out of our fund balance. We have a certain amount of fund balance, unallocated
reserve,
unallocated
fund balance.
Fund balance from
And
17
we
to
have,
18.
I think the goal of our financial goal is to have 2.5. We have excess of that, so we're going to use some of that excess.
Okay. Was there discussion prior, in the spring, about using that or any other in that excessive funding for salary issues? Is that able to be done?
Well, salary, these are one-time funds, whereas salary, you have to have reoccurring funds. So no, it wasn't.
Okay.
We're not getting actual architectural plans out of this.
No.
Oh.
We might get some conceptual renderings and drawings, probably some more scaled down concepts than full architectural plans.
So just out of pure naivete on this. So with Common Pleas, what if they come back and they say, well, can't use, these buildings are 150 plus years old, can't use them. We still are going to have Common Pleas.
Right.
What happens in those situations?
I think moving forward, we'll have a very good set of recommendations on what would need to be done to that building to have it accessible to the public and used in the future, so that we'll be able to make those decisions in the future based on what this study shows.
So it gives us a book of what to do.
Yes, it'll give us that playbook of how to move forward in the future.
And all that will come back to you to give your direction from. So they will kind of take that surgical look at, okay, here's the square footage, here's the cost, here's what that recommends for you. It might be that council says, you know what, we think it would be worth more money to have portions of the city hall in Common Pleas. So we would be willing to spend more money to do that. And so, but it would allow you to have the numbers so that you can make those comparisons.
As a council, I think the best thing we can do is make an educated decision, and we cannot make that without some kind of expertise to help. We don't have anybody on our staff that can do that and do it effectively. These guys are experts. And it's a long process. We went through that with the police station. And I think what we got was a good result.
Well, we know we have to do something. I think, though, anytime we get a budget item like this, and from where I sit and what I do professionally, consultants, sometimes when you're hiring consultants, it can be the price tag can be very cumbersome. So I just wanted to make sure we had a good discussion about it before we just consent agenda that. So I feel good about it. I'm gung ho about seeing what our options are going to be and look forward to what comes out of it.
Well, I think the citizens of Cape Girardeau need to know too, and this is one way they're gonna find out.
Yeah.
And the only way they're gonna find out what, what our options are. So it's all just a big open process. Any further discussion?
I'm just wondering if it's worthwhile tabling this until after some more budget discussion in the next few weeks.
This is really funds from this budget,
right?
From the previous budget.
Right.
And we had discussed.
You've talked it out.
Yeah, we knew that this was coming forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, we didn't know how much the price tag was gonna be. And I wanted some discussion of, hey, these are what City Hall is currently facing. Here's what's Common Pleas is currently facing. This is what this consultant firm is going to do. And that way we could all at least be there. As far as the budget piece, I originally thought that this 150 was coming out of next year's budget, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to pull it out of consent, or out of consent. Knowing that that's from one-time excess funds, I do feel better about the expenditure. Correct.
Do those excess funds, do they end up in our reserve?
They can.
It's an unallocated reserve.
Unallocated reserve.
It's just one thing, that's the same thing.
Right.
Which I don't have the budget in front of me, but, from time to time, we do have those, and then they can either be used for different projects or go into the
There's definitely no
reserve fund.
no budget, no line item in the budget to do it. And when you've got something like this that comes up, you have to do. Your only resource is to use the money like they recommended.
I think what I'm getting at, and maybe it's not even this issue is bringing it up, but I look forward to deeper discussion about the budget and discussing, perhaps some priorities about salary and some of those issues. I think I'm kind of going in tightwad mode, and
After this discussion, I've really had a lot of my questions kind of calm because, whenever it comes down to it, we will have the Common Pleas courthouse. It's going to be there. We just will now have an educated roadmap as to how to use it for the next 150 years. And same thing with this building and potentially any other buildings. At least this gives us an educated, knowledgeable path forward. Because, that something like the Common Pleas is something that's not going away in the city of Cape Girardeau. And so it's just good to be able to know how to utilize it for the next X amount of years.
I agree. Going back to state, I think that's why a study session devoted to budget is very important.
Yep.
And we've not done a good job of that in the past. We are now. So.
We've talked about this whole process for a good long time.
6 months.
And it's just taken this long to go through the process of, finding the right people to do the job. And just because the job gets done doesn't mean we're going to jump right in and do something about it, because that's when you really start talking about the budget. So where's the money going to come from? That's another discussion.
And it might not be there next year. There's potential it could not be there. It might not be there next year. And 2020 is vastly approaching on us.
Yep.
Isn't they're set to can begin construction this fall, I believe, in Jackson, correct?
They're talking to their design build.
Or design build, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, thank you, council.
Thank you.
Anything else?
We made a motion and a second, so
Call
now.
a question.
Question's been called. I'm just going to call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. New ordinances. Bill number 1866, an ordinance renaming Highland Drive running south from Old Hopper Road to West Highland Drive in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. First reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Guard.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Moore. Any discussion? I think it's a good idea not to have two Highland Drives in the same city. That's kind of a no-brainer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 18-67, an ordinance repealing a portion of Chapter 7 of the Code of Ordinances in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri relating to horizontal balusters. First reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gunn and seconded by Dan. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 18-69, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a special tax bill for property located at 811 South Ranny Avenue for the demolition of a dangerous building under the provisions of Chapter 7 of the Code and Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. First reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gunn,
Second.
seconded by Dan. Any discussion?
Yeah, quick question. I couldn't determine from the description of it. Where does the bill ultimately end up?
It is on their taxes, the counter, their county property taxes.
Okay.
So then they're required to pay it, if they don't, then.
Got it,
well,
okay.
the portion through that.
Thanks.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 18-72, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of special tax bill for property located at 615 rear Good Hope Street for the demolition of a dangerous building under the provisions of the Chapter 7 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. First reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Guard, seconded by Gunn. Any discussion? Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 18-73, an ordinance accepting a general warranty deed and temporary construction easement from TMK Group LLC for the Independent Sidewalk Project in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. First reading.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Preston.
Second.
Second by Mr. Guard. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have one appointment tonight to the Airport Advisory Board, and that appointment goes to Mr. Joe Hobbs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Guard, seconded by Mr. Gunn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we have three appointments to the Downtown Cape Girardeau Community Improvement District Board of Directors. Those persons who requested that appointment were Dave Hudson, Lindy Pridemore, and John Rust.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Guard,
Second.
second by Dan. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Other business. The first item, I'm gonna do this other business first and do the appointment of the Ward 5 unexpired term last. One of the items that we talked about in our study session, which we want to consider, is the change in the city council meeting times. And I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Guard, second by Mr. Gunn. The meeting times we talked about were 5 o'clock for the study session, and our regularly scheduled council meeting will occur right after that,
Immediately following.
immediately following. Any closed session we have then would occur after that meeting is over, unless some special circumstance would warrant changing that, which staff could do and take care of that. Any further discussion?
If we're not going to have dinner, I just request that we have some Diet Mountain Dew.
Done.
Done. There will be times during the year when we will have scheduled things that will probably require that we may have something to eat here, because I don't want you to starve and waste away nothing. Anyway, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Other business, appointment of Ward 5 unexpired term. We heard two great presentations tonight from our two candidates, Red and Derek. And I think as a council, we've thought about it, and at this point, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ryan Essex. And I thought both candidates were great. For me, knowing that Ryan wanted to run in August was a benefit. Also, with violent crime and drug crimes in Cape Girardeau, I really like the background that Ryan has too, personally. We know that we've got some work to do in those areas, so I think his background will be a benefit. So, motion.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Kinder. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say, I think both of the candidates were admirable.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I wish we had capacity for both of them.
Wish they were both running.
Think that it's becoming uncommon to have people run for a public office anymore, and for you to step forward, both of you, is admirable. And I think both your qualifications were admirable. And I thank you for your interest, and I look forward to seeing your participation in the future.
I concur. I think both of you would be very, very, very good candidates. You both offer a little different perspective to the same job, and you both seem dedicated to Cape and its citizens, and I thank you both for being here. We have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we have a new Ward 5 representative appointed until we have a special election, which will be in August. At which time, if there are more than 2 candidates that file for it, then there'll be a primary and the general election will be in November. All right. So welcome aboard. At this point,
Your business.
we need to,
We're going to swear them in.
yes, we are.
Swear him in.
Before we adjourn.
Yes.
Mr. Essex, if you'll come forward.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ryan Essex,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess
that I possess
all the qualifications
all the qualifications
for City Council Member Ward 5
for City Council Member Ward 5
as required by the laws of the state of Missouri
as required by the laws of the state of Missouri
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the City of Cape Girardeau,
of the City of Cape Girardeau,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the City of Cape Girardeau,
of the City of Cape Girardeau,
that I will faithfully demean myself
that I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of City Council Member Ward 5
in the office of City Council Member
of the City of Cape Girardeau,
of the City of Cape Girardeau.
so help me God.
Ah. Go.
We have a couple of memos about some future appointments to the Airport Advisory Board and Parks and Rec Board and Advisory Board minutes. I hope you all check those. At this time,
Parks and Rec Advisory Board guy right there.
at this time, I will let our newest Cape Girardeau council member give us a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Well done.